Hey everybody, this is Trevor with Patrick Adair Supplies, and today we're going to be going over the May subbox.
Every month, we dive into epic tutorials that break down everything you need to know to make awesome rings with your monthly sub box. We'll cover the tools, the materials, and techniques you need to turn your box into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Whether you're a first-timer or a pro, you're in the right place.
This month we have Maui Blue and Aquamarine pigment. We're using Aqua Glow, turquoise. We're throwing in some copper shavings and a carbon fiber ring blank. For mixing up our color, I am using just a small amount of the aquamarine and a heaping scoop of the Maui Blue, and filling up the vial about half the way with the Aqua Glow, just trying to match that turquoise color. Feel free to mess around with the ratios just to see how close you can get. Then I am taking the turquoise and just crushing it up a little bit so that it fits in the ring blank a bit better. Just about the size I'm going for. And to start off our ring, I'm doing a small layer of our thick CA all over the base of the ring blank and covering that with our color mixture. Once I can see that everything is covered, I'm just going to be blowing off the excess and using a small dab of our super thin CA to kind of seal everything up. Don't want to use too much, just enough to change the color. And then letting that cure. Once that is cured, I'm doing another small layer of our thick CA along the base, and then pouring in our crushed turquoise. Just trying to make it as compact as possible. Once that is fully covered in, I'm just filling in the gaps with some more of our color mixture and blowing off the excess. And then again, just a small amount of that super thin CA to hold everything in place. Just enough to wet that and change the color, and then letting that cure. And then for the rest of the inlay, I'm just going to be using the super thin to build up small layers so that we have a nice depth. And I'll just be doing that until it fills up that base completely. The RPMs on the lathe do look really fast, but it's just because we've sped up the video a little bit so you don't have to wait as long. And I like to do this in a lot of layers just because I try to avoid getting any accidental air bubbles from using too much super thin at one time, and I found that lots of small layers is easier solution than trying to do one big layer and getting a bunch of air bubbles trapped underneath. So once that is all cured, I'm using a rotary tool just to sand off the kind of high spots, the sharp spots, still leaving a little bit of that glue layer on there. And then I am just going to hand sand, just because since we're using carbon fiber, it's really easy to mess up and sand away too much material. So I'm just sanding with the 220 grit, always wet sand, and then checking to make sure there's no holes or gaps that I've left behind. And this time we are good to go. So I'm just going straight on to the 500 grit. And onto the 1000 grit. And I'm just checking everything one more time. And since I like how it looks, I'm just throwing on some polishing compound to shine everything up and make it a little more glossy. And then we are done. I like how it looks. I think the turquoise and the color match each other really well on that carbon fiber band. Thanks for joining us again, as you do every month. We sincerely appreciate it. Be helpful for us if you like and subscribe, and we wish you all the best. We'll see you next month. Thanks.